Today we are continuing with future tenses, and we will discuss the future progressive tense. Just like the future simple, the future progressive also has two distinct structures. But don't worry. Unlike the future simple, in future progressive we can freely exchange will and to be going to without a huge difference in meaning. The main use of future progressive is to show that a future action will be stopped or interrupted by another future action. Look at the examples on screen. In both sentences, we have a longer action happening at the time of the shorter action. In other words, the shorter action interrupts the longer one. To illustrate this, we put the longer action into the future progressive and the shorter action in the present simple. Take a look at the examples on screen. In both cases, we don't know if the interruption will or will not happen, but just in case, we put the longer action into the future progressive. Another use for the future progressive is to talk about future actions at a very specific point in time in the future. In this case, instead of a short action interrupting a long action, we have a time reference. Take a look at this example. The future perfect is still used for the longer action, but the interruption point is given as a time reference, not as a short action. To be used in this way, it's important for the time reference to be as specific as possible. Finally, we can use the future progressive to show two or more actions happening at the same time in the future. In this case, we don't need to provide a time reference, but it's helpful if we have one in the context. Finally, we can use the future progressive to talk about two or more future actions happening at the same time. Take a look at the example on screen. In this case, we don't have to put the time reference in the future progressive sentence, but we need to have a future reference somewhere in the context of this conversation. There is one extra special situation when people use the future progressive, and this is to sound more polite. Take a look at these sentences. In this conversation, there is absolutely no grammatical reason to use the future progressive. It's only given here to raise the politeness level of the sentence. Lastly, when it comes to passive, we have another example of a passive structure which is practically never used in real life, just like with most other progressive tenses. But take a look at it, and maybe you will need it for a test or for academic purposes. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions about the future progressive tense, please leave them in the comments and I will reply as soon as possible. Have a very nice day, and I will see you next time.